All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. John Lynch spoke today on KMBR. What did he say? We will talk about it next. And of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And this video is also brought to you by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California on the Monterey Peninsula. Call my friend Anthony Catania at 831-521-5264. All right, John Lynch did his normal Friday hit on a Wednesday because of the Thanksgiving holiday. And, of course, the conversation started with the Packer game. John, what'd you think of the Packer game? And he said, hey, we took a good hard look at the game. We need to file it away, use it as fuel. But in this league, you got to move forward. You got to move forward to Buffalo, but you can't forget what just happened in Green Bay. He was asked about the mood. He said, we were embarrassed. That's not who we are. But the reality is that is who they are. He says we didn't tackle well enough on defense. There were too many careless penalties that hurt us. We didn't show up, and we have to do something about it. So I'll agree with we didn't show up and they have to do something about it. I'll agree with the careless penalties and I'll agree with they didn't tackle well. But that's not who we are. That's not who you want to be. But that absolutely is who you are. The way they played, the way you play the day you play is who you are as a football team. And that's who they are. They don't want to be that. That's not what they set out to be, but that's who they are. He was asked about the lack of, why all the bad tackling. And he said, Josh Jacobs is a tough back. But he's like, we have to fix it. We got to get more hats on the running back. You got to get more guys arriving at the ball. So many times it's one guy there and he's trying to do it all by himself and nobody's coming to his aid. So you can't play hero ball. Everybody can't do it themselves. It takes teamwork. They're going to have to put lots of hats on the Buffalo running backs starting this week if they're going to bring those guys to the ground. Jacobs made them look bad, really bad, and we'll see how they react coming out of it. He was asked about CMC and what's wrong with CMC. He doesn't look very good. Is he ramping up? And John pushed back on that notion that he's ramping up. He said, we didn't have a lot of offensive possessions. He's like, it's a team effort. He can't do it himself. He needs his line, kind of suggesting that the line didn't open holes. This is the same line that John a week ago said was really underrated and doing very well. Maybe he's changing his tune on that now because he didn't want to blame CMC. Now, has Christian lost a step? I don't know. He's not getting the same results. To me, he looks like he's in the same condition. He looks like the same player. But he's not getting the same results. So is he rusty? Is he ramping up? Is it the bad O-line? Is it the lack of a passing game? Is it the backup quarterback? I mean, what's going on? All we can say is that CMC doesn't look good right now. But John pushed back and said, my eyes tell me that Christian is in a good spot physically. So he expects this McCaffrey thing to turn around, which is problematic. Why? Because it's just going to further embolden Shanahan and this organization to not play Jordan Mason, who's averaging 5 yards a carry, and Isaac Correndo, who's averaging 6 yards a carry, for Christian McCaffrey, who's averaging 3 yards a carry. So that's not a good thing. So it sounds like they're either delusional or they really think that McCaffrey is back and it's about everybody else but Christian, right? It's not about Christian. It's about the line. But you just told us last week the line's doing great. So I'm confused. But all I can say is it sounds like get ready for more Christian and only Christian against the Buffalo Bills. And that's not the right answer. Trent Williams came up and John said, hey, Jalen Moore played a really good game. And there's no question. Jalen Moore was the highest rated PFF offensive lineman in this game. But John also came back, 1 week after he said the line was playing well. He says, we can play better on the O-line, and we need to play better on the O-line. So what is it? Are they playing well, or do they need to play better? Are they doing a great job, or do they need to be called on the carpet? Should they go with the 5 guys they have, or should they make replacements and changes? I don't know. I would bench Brendel. I've seen enough. I'd go with Drake Nugent or Nick Sakel at center, or Ben Barch. The rest of the way, I've seen enough of Brendel as a pass protector. He was asked about Deebo Samuel, and this is another delusional answer, I thought. Okay, so how's Deebo looking, John? Everybody thinks Deebo looks a lot slower. Last year against Philly, at this time, he looked fast. This year, he doesn't look that fast. And he's like, well, people have high expectations for Deebo. Okay. Then he said, hey, he had that 87-yard kickoff return that was negated by a holding call on Eric Saubert, which John also said was a bad call. He's like, that's the Deebo we need. That's the Deebo we expect. Well, let's talk about it. What did we see there that we're not seeing from scrimmage? In a kickoff situation, you get 3 or 4 steps to ramp up. And now you're getting to get to top speed. Well, nobody wants to tackle Deebo at top speed. From scrimmage as a runner or as a receiver on short routes, he's not getting to top speed. He's not tackled when he's running full speed. When he's running full speed, nobody's tackling him for the most part. That's what you saw in the kickoff return. The problem is he can't get to top speed now without 4 or 5 steps, and he's tackled before that 5th step. So his quickness and agility as a runner, as a receiver, what we call short area quickness, has departed. I mean, he's no longer has that short area quickness. Now he's got build-up speed. He's got gather speed. He's got the kind of speed that when you have a lot of mass and you get it rolling, you start to have build-up speed. That's what Deebo has now. So, yeah, maybe run him on some deeper routes. Maybe use him as a return man. Maybe make sure that he's got, if you're going to hand it to him as a runner, that he's got a runway, 3-4 steps. The best plays Deebo's had as a runner in the past have been when they're running it, east-west, and he's getting it on the last leg as part of misdirection. Everybody's flowing left, and here comes Deebo right. And what happens in that situation? He gets 2, 3, 4, 5 steps cooking. And then he's hard to bring down. When are you seeing him brought down as a runner now? Well, he's being brought down parallel to the line of scrimmage. He's not getting that. He's not turning upfield. He's not getting that powerful, explosive gait going. So to me, it's all about, he doesn't have first step quickness anymore. He can't get it going in 2 or 3 steps. So you got to ramp him up. So that means you got to get him on some spots where either he has the ability to run 3 or 4 steps with the ball, or get him more down the field where he can start to run down the field, or use him more on kick returns and punts where he's got ramp up speed possibilities. But once again, John loves Deebo, and they love Deebo, and they push back on any idea that Deebo is not exactly the player that he used to be, and he clearly is not that player anymore. He was asked about Dre Greenlaw, and Dre had his practice window opened today or this week, and he'll be out on the practice field on Wednesday for the first time all year. And, this is a player they miss so bad. He tore the Achilles in February. It's a medical miracle that he's back right now. Probably won't be back for the Buffalo game, maybe the Chicago game. It might even be the week after that. But the good news is Greenlaw's getting back. And, man, they need this player because they miss him in the worst way. He was asked about Brandon Allen. And he's asked about Brandon Allen playing over Josh Dobbs in that decision. And he said basically what I've said all last week, that there was no decision to be made. This was a decision that was made back in training camp. Shanahan decided in training camp that Brandon Allen was better than Josh Dobbs, and that's not going to change because nobody's played. So John said hopefully Brock returns for the Buffalo game. He said that Brandon Allen did some good things in Green Bay. And he said nobody's disappointed in Josh Dobbs, but they're going with Brandon Allen. So nothing has really changed on that front. Allen will go if Purdy can't go. He was asked about the Niners' defensive line depth and how the only guys starters from the Green Bay playoff win on defense from last year was Demo and Fred Warner. And he's like, D-line depth is an issue. He said, we need to be better. He added that Leonard Floyd, Jordan Elliott, and Malik Collins, were nice additions to the D-line in the offseason, but that he expects the D-line to play its best ball down the stretch, which is, once again, it sounds like wishful thinking, because how are they going to play their best ball down the stretch when they're all beat up and Nick Bosa's not playing and he's far and away their best player? So I'll say I agree with John. They'll play their best D-line ball down the stretch if Bosa gets back. But if Bosa doesn't get back, no chance. He added that they really liked Leonard Floyd coming out of Georgia in the draft process. He said, man, he called him an old school tough guy. He doesn't take vet days. He doesn't take off days. He had 2 big sacks against Green Bay. John cited Leonard Floyd as a complete player who plays the run and the pass equally well. Then the conversation turned to the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen, who are next. And John said, hey, Josh Allen's a stud. They loved him at Wyoming. He's from a physical standpoint, he's a physical specimen. He reminds John of Brett Favre. He says, we really liked him coming out of Wyoming. Lots of respect for that organization, Brandon Beane, Sean McDermott. John described the Bills as a very consistent organization. And then the conversation wrapped up with John's Thanksgiving plans. And his son is coaching football, so he won't be home, but his daughters will all be in the house. John says he carves the turkey and makes the cranberries. So John Lynch getting ready for what sounds like will be a great Thanksgiving day at the Lynch household. So there you go. There's the breakdown of what Lynch said on KMBR. You're now up to date. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles for sponsoring the video. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for sponsoring the Krug Show. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.